Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto, Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the entire world listening to us via the magic of the internet, formerly known as the ARPANET, created by guess whom? You, the people of the world, created by whom? Our tax dollars. Now controlled by whom? The billionaires. Folks, we've got to take, a lot of times folks talk about take the country back. And, MAGA would be talking, take the country back. Yes, we need to take the country back, but not to the billionaires who are supported by MAGA, but from we, the people. Anyway, before any further ado, first of all, Jack, if you are listening right now, at home, in bed, you take good care of yourself. We need you out here. Jack is under the weather, folks, but you know what? We still have that hero in the studio in El Señor Howard Reynolds. How you doing this morning, Howard?
Oh, I'm still looking for that hero part. I don't think I've got it down yet. I got the call at about 10 minutes after 4 o'clock this morning as I was waking up, and Jack said, "Man, I am sick. Chills, fever, cramps.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Something very bad going on." In fact, one of our guys, Rico, got it too. So I think that's where they got it. He came in yesterday for just a little while and went, "Man, get out of here."
Now, did he have the flu or did he have COVID, or does he know?
He did. He said the COVID test was negative.
Okay.
So it wasn't COVID. So it's, COVID's still out there.
Yeah,
folks,
big time.
Still out there. So it's making a resurgence. So yeah. I got my vaccinations. I got vaccinated for, let's see, shingles, pneumonia, flu on Friday. So maybe it'll take place and I won't get this stuff because it's pretty bad.
It's bad. No, I got mine too, but man, the shingles one kind of had me down for a day. Not down, but tired,
I felt kind of funky afterwards,
Yeah.
But I managed to recover somehow. I kind of have a rant, but I kind of don't want to talk about it right now. It's this battle between the judges and Trump. Trump's going to lose that one.
Oh, I hope so. I think so, but I hope so.
He's doubling down even after Roberts told him, look, this is not the way you do things.
Mm-hmm.
He's still saying, oh, this judge, oh, wah, poor me. I broke the law. So what? Yeah, okay. Well, that is an impeachable offense.
Yes.
Ignoring court orders.
Yes, it is. It is.
Being in contempt of court is a impeachable article. So we'll see what happens. Got to hit the phones here. I'll talk to you in a little while. Neil Aquino, welcome in.
Brother Neil, how you doing? You know what, Neil? Normally, before you get started, first of all, folks, Neil Aquino from the Houston Democracy Project can be found at HoustonDemocracyProject.com, one of our premier activists. Well, he doesn't, that's not the word I'm going to use for him. I'm going to let him describe what he is himself. But Neil, since Jack isn't here, we are going to put you on the spot and say it's now your responsibility to give the word of the day.
The word of the You put me on the spot.
I know I did. I want to listen. It's not too often we get a chance. Notice I'm still talking to get you to recover from being on the spot. Okay.
Right. In Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, the word of the day is go. I think Miss Kurt, what the word is go. So we're gonna go this morning. We're gonna keep at it. We're gonna persist. I'm reading a story. Trump, the damage that Trump does worldwide. I'm reading a story about Turkey, actually, where Erdogan has arrested his chief opponents in advance of elections, he would have to call. He's arrested the mayor of Istanbul. He may arrest the mayor of Ankara. And the article, specifically says that that with Trump there, you can do these things easier. So so that's a depressing word, but these things have implications. We talk about local stuff on Thursday mornings, but it's another reason to fight. It's another reason to fight. We are messing up the world.
Well, before you get into what we're going to talk about, tell us a little bit about yourself, my friend.
The Houston Democracy Project, HoustonDemocracyProject.com, and I focus on local democracy issues in Houston and Harris County. I have a focus sometimes on Houston City Council, which is not covered enough. And I'm here every Thursday. I have a blog. I take part in a protest in front of Senator Cornyn's. Actually, at our protest at Senator Cornyn's. So we're at Senator Cornyn's office every Tuesday, 11:30 to 1, 5300 Memorial Drive. And we had some Ukrainian flags out. And these two people stopped and tried to take the flags. We had, as far as it was a mother and a son, as far like she was in her 50s and he in his 20s. As far as we could determine, we did a little research, and someone who was at the protest seemed to know a little bit about it. They were pro-Russian Ukrainians. That was our best. Yeah, they were clearly from Ukraine. They were talking about how they speak Ukrainian and Russian. So that was our best guess, and we were like, "Wow, you never know. You never know what's going to be out there." But they tried to take our flags, and we had a very sharp 15-minute discussion with us, and it was you learn something new every day. They were not.
Let me tell you, let's enlighten our audience, because I am now curious. What were they saying? I imagine you had a civil conversation.
It was they arrived at us very, very heated. We were a little confused. They were saying that, why did we have a Ukrainian flag? We were not fighting for Ukraine, send money to Ukraine. But why would you bother to do that? They know the context of people supporting Ukraine in the United States. It was just so odd. And someone who was there explained, I guess, around Russian-speaking Ukrainians who are in the war zone, who are refugees from the war, but still not necessarily against the Russian government.
Yeah, that's in the Donbass. Yeah.
And some right-wing elements, we've heard these, assertions, probably some which are correct, about extreme right-wing views among some Ukrainians. And it was an odd scene. They were very angry. And I also make the point, some people, we had about 50 people last week, bickered with them for about 15 minutes. And then we said, okay, that's enough of that. And we went on with our day. So, people talk about safety at street protests. And generally they're all pretty safe, but there is an amount, as we go down in fighting these people, it involves some risk. And so that's another reason to tell the story.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we did Occupy Kingwood, during the Occupy movement.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, most of the people seemed supportive because it was, right after the financial crisis. But there would be a few of those big pickup truck driving guys that would they will kind of give the indication that if they could, they would run you over, but.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But before you get started with what we want to talk about, John is on the line, and I'd like to go ahead and give some kudos to our brothers and sisters coming in by phone. So, Brother Johnny, talk to me, please.
Hey, Theoretical. Good morning to both of y'all. And this is for Magic Jack. Magic, I hope you're listening. I hope you feel better. But I was discussing with Captain Reynolds Rap off a line a moment ago. And just as a public service to you guys, a reminder, because I know it's so easy for us to forget details like what it is to get a COVID test. As Magic Jack hopefully does remember, there are two types of COVID tests. The more complex one that you get at the hospital or the doctor's office, the one that's more expensive, and then the the ones that we buy at the store. So the ones that we buy at the store, you want to repeat that test in 2 or 3 days. And then you want to do it again the following week, just to be extra careful. And if you do go in public a week or so after you are symptom-free, you still have to double mask. Don't single mask. Single mask only protects others. Double mask is what helps to protect you. And on that note, as an added caution, I would say if you can tolerate the taste of Listerine, after you rinse out your mouth with water and finish with Listerine, you do 30 seconds. You hold the Listerine at the bottom of your mouth for 30 seconds. Then you tilt your head forward, hold the Listerine, push it up with your tongue against the roof of your mouth for 30 seconds. Then you tilt your head back and you gargle for 30 seconds. Now, I take deep breaths all the time, so I could do 30 seconds in one breath. But other people will need to do it, I could divide it in two. But that's okay, as long as you get a total of 30 seconds gargling with your head tilted back, and then you finish with 30 seconds of swishing it around in your mouth, like they see on TV, and then you spit it out and you're good to go. What that does is that helps clear any kind of because colonies of bacteria, they like to multiply on average of every 20 minutes. So what you do is you're cleaning your mouth out and you're keeping that clear, and that makes it a very hostile environment for COVID or any other kind of pathogens that are airborne. So there's that. I hope that is a help because of all the...
Well, Dr. Johnny, let me just tell you something that is interesting. My wife follows a regimen similar to that. Whenever if she feels a scratch or anything, and she swears by what you just said, believe it or not. So you're not the first that I've heard it, but for the audience, we don't give medical advice. We're not licensed here, but my wife does what Johnny just advised as well. And it seems to work for her.
Endorsed by Mrs. Egberto, and that's good enough for me. So why did I call now?
Well, look, if you forget, hey, Johnny, if you forgot why you called, get off the line. Neil will speak, and you can always call back. We find you, brother. All right?
I just remembered Social Security. I want to share real quick the experience I've had with my cousin going down to Social Security. I was telling Captain Reynolds Rap this because he's in the same age group. As you probably are aware, you have interviewed him a number of times, I believe. The guy who's in charge of Social Security Works, Alex Lawson.
Yeah, Lawson.
Yeah, and he's been advising people like you and me and Captain Reynolds Rap to not only get a hard copy of our Social Security account online at home, but then go down to the Social Security office in person and request a hard copy there. And the reason you do that is not only is it the hard copy from their office, but you're getting photographed because they've got cameras everywhere, security cameras. So not only are you creating a paper trail, you are also aiding the facial software recognition to prove that you are who you are and that you were there, and Elon Musk has a harder time denying you your basic rights, the stuff you paid into. Elon Musk is not entitled. We are. That's all I have to say. Oh, and also you have an option. We were given the option of a $220 version or a $41 version. We went with the $41 version, and for that you get they mail you hard copies of most of what they have on you, which includes the verification letter with your name, your address, and all that stuff. And there's the alphanumeric code along with that. That is what you get. For the $200+ version, they give you a hard drive that's got everything they have on you from the moment you arrived at Social Security. So, and that comes on a CD hard drive, which you have to pick up at the office. So I hope that's all helpful.
Look, I think that is actually very helpful to all of those who, Social Security is dubious right now. So thank you for that advice, Johnny. You have a wonderful rest of your day as we continue with the program. All right?
I'll try, but I doubt it.
All right, we'll talk later, brother. All right, Neil Aquino. We have some subjects about CD 18 to talk about, Congressional District 18, and you have some advice for the population at large, not only for CD 18, but what we better start doing as far as holding our representatives accountable.
Right. Right. And so since I was last here, last Thursday, I attended a couple of public forums. I saw Senator Molly Cook. She's not running for CD 18, holding a town hall. And also Christian Menefee, our former county attorney, who resigned to run for CD 18. I saw him at the Tejano Democrats meeting. And the thing I want to highlight about both those meetings is that Molly Cook said, we are in an authoritarian moment. And Christian Menefee said, we are this close to losing our democracy. So I know we all know that. But I think it's important that our elected officials say it. But I also think it's important that they react. And I think it's difficult for them to know how to react. Molly Cook is very policy driven, which is fine. But, she's in the Texas Senate, and she was clear that most of her bills aren't going to pass. Now, I'm not telling you I have the answer for what she should be doing. But I would be fine, basically, if she left the legislative session. I'm her constituent and just organized here. Now people need representation, but that's she was clear she wasn't getting anything there. And she's having a town hall this weekend about transportation policy. That's fine. But boy, the world's burning around you. So I know. And it was also what was also a little depressing was, she's just 33 and she wants to do some good in this world. So she has an obligation to show up for us. But we have an obligation to fight where someone and the younger folks are able to be in a world where they can do some good. So we all need to show up for each other. Christian Menefee was at the Tejano Democrats meeting, and Al Green was there. I was surprised to see him. It's out of his district. I don't think it's a meeting he would normally go to. Congressman Green was there, and it seemed pretty clear to me this was the day or 2 days before Menefee announced for Congress that Green was supporting Christian Menefee. He got up and spoke for about 10 or 15 minutes. And I don't know if he's on the list. Menefee made a list of people who endorsed him, but Al Green, and remember, Al Green is telling you to protest. We've talked about that. Don't wait for elected officials. So our elected officials, these two progressive elected officials, at least in the conventional sense, are telling you that these issues. So the Congressional District 18 race. So if your congressperson was Sheila Jackson Lee, Sylvester Turner, you have a congressional election, and Governor Abbott needs to call it. So he will wait as long as he possibly can to call it so that the seat will remain vacant and Democrats will have one less occupy, one less seat. And I have posted yesterday that before you commit to supporting Amanda Edwards is running, Christian Menefee, there'll be other candidates. Before you support any of them, ask them some tough questions because our survival is on the line. Ask them, what's your plan to increase voter turnout in Congressional District 18? How will you have the backs of precinct chairs and active volunteers? What will you do to encourage other local elected Democrats to increase? You build to strengthen the party in CD 18. Not continue with these low turnout, hierarchical elections. We just cannot continue with the way we're going. And then also, what is your plan to protect Houstonians and from the state of Texas and the federal government? And I've been using that phrasing the last 2 or 3 days. We simply need protection. We need protection from the state. We need protection from the federal government. Will you aggressively fight authoritarianism? How? Will you confront the right, even if it leads to threats to your personal safety? Because it will. And will you take part in street protests and be on the same side of a police line as pro-democracy Houstonians? So I encourage you, whatever office they're running for, to ask those questions. But we need to bring our elected officials into the new world because they are bystanders. They really are bystanders in many ways. And we were talking earlier about the courts. I just was seeing a CNN story that that the Trump people do not care that they're losing these court cases because they feel they're going to win it all in the Supreme Court. And I would argue that even if the Supreme Court does stop Trump, they're going to demonize the court and ignore that too. The courts are. I don't believe the courts are going to stop him. Even if the courts do stop him, they're going to ignore that too. And ultimately, it's going to be up to us to push these people back. And we're going to have to drag our elected officials with us. And they're going to have to take risks, even though they don't want to.
I am so glad you said that about risk. But let me ask you to hold 1 second so that I can go ahead and point out, first of all, on our Substack chat, we have Randall Baxley. Randall, he says, Randy, a.k.a. Tata777, and a.k.a. the old man in the Northeast Side. He says, taxation without equal or equivalent representation for everyone in 18, which he's echoing what you're saying, as the governor is taking too long of a time to go ahead and assign a date for that election. Jean LB from Massachusetts, she wants to make sure we know she's in the house. She says, hey, guys. And we have a lot here in the other general chat with Jacqueline Acampisi says, good morning. Jacqueline is from Katy, I believe. Alizarin Dreams is from Summerwood. Is in the chat as well. Joe from Los Angeles, California is in the house, as well as Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain, and Eric from Kingwood, Atascocita. Lee the Beer Cat from Austin, Texas in the house. He says, Menifee did not even wait for the funeral to announce. And he says as well, Neil, did Biden listen to the Supreme Court? Nope. He kept defying it. Was that right? I don't think Biden ever defied the Supreme Court. Am I wrong on that, Neil?
You know, I don't recall where he defied the Supreme Court, but I'm not both siding any of this stuff.
Yeah, I am not either gonna. And understand what Neil just said, Lee the Beer Cat. These are not times for us to work on false equivalencies. There is an existential threat right now in the White House with not only in the White House, but with the intent of Project 2025. And it's something that all of us should be fighting against. And you know what? Unfortunately, for the MAGA persuaded, it seems like they will only react when, by the time things have started to crater for their own lives. And
I'm not even sure they'll do that, because I mean, I do believe that there's enough people, you know, given the closeness of the last election, there's enough people where Democrats could win the House of Representatives back. You know, the Trump's poll numbers slowly go down. But, you know, I mean, what's clear is that a substantial portion of Americans think that the problem is Black people. The problem is women. The problem is the presence of people unlike them. And Trump is addressing it. And they will withstand. Now we're being told there's a recession, right? Imagine if Trump had campaigned. So now we're being brought into recession intentionally, and still his poll numbers, they decline a bit, but they basically hold up. I mean, he is offering them. I'm trying to find a term other than final solution. He is that the problem for much of Trump's base is the existence of Black people, the power that women might have power. People, look how he's treating these Cubans and Venezuelans, these people whom supported him, voted Republican. And he made a point immediately when he got into office back in January to go after these folks. And he was sending that message, you know, look, you're not white, take a hike.
Well, let me just say this, and I mean this to my core. First of all, it takes leaders. I mean, our carnality comes out for everybody. And I'm not trying to give you a break as a white guy or anything, Brother Aquino. But we all are victims of how we are reared. Now, as far as Neil Aquino is concerned, Neil Aquino overcame a lot of how he was reared. And go ahead. It seems like you wanted to jump in.
Well, I think about that question. Actually, if I was told from the beginning, don't be a racist. From age 5 or 6. There's a lot of things.
Let me stop you right there, Neil. And we're brothers, and don't be biting your tongue when you're talking to me, brother. But but here's the thing. I know what your folks told you, but we also know what you lived, right? How the surroundings of what the system is telling you, right? And that is why that is where I talk about we need leaders. We need leaders out there that for the folks that doesn't have responsible parents like you had, that points out that certain things are wrong or certain things that you thought were right aren't. And you know what? A large percentage are starting to see the thing. If we look at the percentage, if we look at the last election, right? And we realize that, and by the way, I have an interview that I did with the guy that counts the votes. What's his name? Not Doug. Anyway, I'll remember his name Greg Palast. I have an interview that I am processing with Greg Palast, who actually, and folks, don't take this wrong, who actually points out that if all the votes were counted and the suppression wasn't in, that Kamala wins the election with all this stuff that we talk about by 3.8 million votes, and he has the slips to show it, right? Now, look, Trump won the election. Don't get me wrong, but he points out how he came up with these numbers that she would have been winning the election by 3 million votes. So there are enough, to put it bluntly, people out there, white people out there doing the right thing that would do the right thing, as much as, the problems that Donald Trump is trying to foment with racism and sexism and all the isms, right? There are enough out there to still, for the good side to win, right? Mm-hmm. The issue is, in my opinion, and I want to hear yours, the issue is, how do we galvanize that? And when you talk about Manafee and all these guys having to go out there and make folks realize there's an existential problem, and that this fear of the other, they have to go out there and actually be an active part of the conversation, not just sit back and say, well, this is how things are. Your thoughts?
Well, actually, one thing I would really would like to see that would mobilize people. I wish Democrats would do a better job of running cities,
right,
and be able to make, New York City. Can you imagine that the best folks could come up with is Eric Adams? I wish that Democrats would. We consistently have low turnout in cities in municipal elections, mayoral. Sheila Jackson Lee and John Whitmire ran for mayor. They had combined 85 years of public service, and the turnout was 17%. They had held these offices for 85 years total, whatever it was. No one was excited. And I wish that our city council members, and they do go to meetings, they do things. I wish we would more effectively run cities and care about voter turnout, and address forthrightly poverty, stray dogs, all the things, so that we could have the platform to base everything on, saying, look, we competently run this city, and we are really at risk of losing. We are the Trump's biggest gains, and there's a lot of racial stuff in this. There's a lot of racial stuff, but Trump made big gains in cities and urban counties, and a lot of people stayed home. And if you look at the poverty rates, just drive around Houston. God bless Houston. Houston's a great place. You look at the stray dogs, the poverty. Democrats have run this city forever, even though the Republicans run statewide. But if I had one thing, I would like a renewed focus on municipal governance as a platform to launch everything else. We just assume folks are going to vote for us.
I definitely cannot disagree with you there, and you're right. I mean, District CD 18, Sylvester Turner, Sheila Jackson Lee. If you want to show, first of all, these are districts that take a look at CD 18. Take a look at that monstrosity of a district, the way it is.
Yeah, the gerrymandering is awful. Yeah,
it is horrendous.
Yeah,
and the thing about it is, you want in every one of these districts somebody who's going to give a renewal. I talk about if everyone did their job and not just worrying about winning the district. That district is so gerrymandered that Sheila didn't have to do any campaigning. The only campaign that's going to matter in this one is Amanda Edwards fighting with Manafee fighting with Martin. That's the only game. And for them, it's going to be which one of them can get that little piece of people who are going to go out there and vote.
And they'll be sitting there. Their picture. I would. I don't know their minds, but you win that seat, and you'll be sitting there for 30 years. That's why I say give these people a really difficult time. Ask them. I mean, what are you going to be sitting in there in a permanent minority? Because we're not able to vote because the SAVE Act passed, and we will never have any hope of a majority. In Congressional District 29, that's Sylvia Garcia,
right.
Another 70-something in office. And my recollection is that Congressional District 29, Sylvia Garcia here in the area, is 434 out of 435 in presidential turnout. You'd think that would be a huge crisis. You'd think they would be building the infrastructure, responding. I saw the number. I don't have it in front of me, but the majority that from Hillary Clinton's majority.
Neil, let me ask you to hold there because I want to go into more detail on that topic, but we have a caller in Jim.
Great.
So let's take Jim and then we go back to this because that topic is extraordinarily important, what you just mentioned there. Brother Jim, come on in.
Great.
Good morning, Egberto. Good morning, Neil.
Morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
How are y'all doing today?
We're doing fine, my friend. I think you're calling back from yesterday, right?
Not exactly. I'm going to talk about a different topic today.
Okay, let's go ahead. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. Okay, so on Wednesday, you were, towards the end of your show, you were talking about various reporters being like independent media and things like that. And you mentioned Joy Reid.
Yes.
Yes. And you said that she was fired because she dared to spoke up against Trump and all that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you forget? I think you forgot to mention that she's also a very hateful, racist, fearmonger with very low ratings on that news station and all that.
All right. First of all, no, I didn't forget to say that. In fact, remember what I tell everybody here, right? First of all, I accept criticism very well. And number two is I also do my homework, Jim. And when you took a look at what MSNBC did, right? Her show wasn't a Rachel Maddow level show, nor was it a O'Donnell level show. Okay? But here is what she was. She wasn't, for many of the shows that remained, she was much higher than them. She has a much larger social media imprint, which is what's needed right now because a lot of folks don't even watch TV, but they watch social media. So her social media prowess also brought people into the station. So when you talk about the aggregate communications that she provided to MSNBC relative to what others that kept their jobs did, it is clear that the reason she was let go, one, was because of Trump. But let me tell you the other caveat that one should know. As you know, as Neil was pointing out, we are in a very racial time in this country. I mean, I'm trying to myself to bring folks together, to put it bluntly, because racism is a stupid thing. Race is a stupid thing from a technical standpoint. What I'm trying to do, Jim, is just point out realities. If you take a look at all the programs that got cut, they were all programs by African Americans, Latinos, and Asian. What signals does that tell you? No, hold on a second, my dear brother. I repeat, the 5 major programs that were cut were Black, meaning African American. I shouldn't say Black African American, Asian, and Latino. So what do you get from that?
Well,
in the Trump era, what would if you as a scientist that look at those numbers that I told you, her performance relative to other characters, including white characters, or not only online, not only on air, but also social media prowess. If I gave you those numbers, what would your conclusion be?
Well, maybe they just didn't provide actual news like she had. Like, she didn't provide news. She just provide skepticism and this fear mongering, trying to convince people.
All right. You said that. You said that already. Let me ask you a question to that. You said that already. I have a specific question. What statements did Joy Reid make that was inaccurate? You see, I mean, here's where I go, Jim, and then I promise I'll let you speak. Here's what happens. Somebody comes out forcefully and tells the truth about how things are that's not appealing to somebody else. In other words, I can tell you categorically that Trump, while I don't know his heart, he does racist things. And I can point that out with what he says, what he does. Some people talk about it, well, he was unkind, and they use those kind of words. She comes out and says, the guy's just a racist SOB. My question to you, Jim, what statement specifically that you call racist that she has made?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that, Mr. Egberto. Well,
no problem.
She has once stated, well, after Trump won, she did a statistic about various people, percentage of people who voted for Trump. Mm-hmm. And she said something along 55% of Latino men voting for Trump. And she just said, and she was basically saying that, well, I mean, you know, you're voting for your family members and all that to be deported. So hope you enjoy that. You got what's coming to you. She's basically saying that.
It's true.
Like,
I said that, brother, Jim.
Who is an illegal immigrant, and that is very stereotypically racist.
Okay, let me stop you right there, brother. Okay, and I say this because, again, a lot of times when we speak, we are all biased to some extent. But I have said the same. Do you think I'm racist?
I don't believe you are, sir.
Okay, I thank you for that. Now, I've said this exact same thing that Joy Reid said, because I am also a Latino. I'm not only Black, I'm also a Latino, right? And there are some dynamics that happens in the Latino community as well, because Latino is a fault ethnicity. Because Latinos from Panama are different than Latinos from Cuba, different than Latinos from Mexico, Honduras, etc. But our country just groups us all together, right? So there are issues, in fact, with Latinos. And those Latino folks that have voted for Trump, most of them, they voted for them because of something called proximity to whiteness, as well as sexism. I don't have enough time to go through that, but I promise you, I would love to go through those kinds of issues with people, good people like you, because I think you are actually a good guy. All right. And I think as a MAGA person, I honestly think that you are trying to find what is it that, as good as you are, what is it that centralizes you to MAGA? But I have some other calls, Jim, and I appreciate you pushing back on me. And I want you to keep calling and doing the same. All right?
All right. Well, thank you for having me, Mr. Egberto. I hope you and Neil have a good day.
Hey, by the way, I don't want to feel too old, so Egberto is fine. You don't need the mister, okay, brother? And thank you for being respectful, though. All right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was raised to be respectful. You know how it is.
Thank you, brother. You have a good day.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Lewis. Come on in, Lewis. Oh, we lost Lewis. Let's go to Patrick. And Lewis, if that was an accident, give us a call back, 713-526-5738. Come on in, brother Patrick.
Hey, good morning. How are y'all?
We're fine. Talk to me, my man.
I'm enjoying hearing from Jim, so I wanted to help him out. A lot of Americans don't understand how to debate because it's not taught in school anymore. The argument would have gone better if Jim was able to point out other people that have been let go because of racist statements. Whereas from your behalf, it's very easy to pick out other people that have lost their jobs in the media for speaking out against Trump. And he actually didn't even come out and say that is why she got fired. He said that you were wrong, and then all he said was that she is just racist. He didn't offer an alternative about why he thought she was fired. So what I would suggest is that if he wants to debate like that, offer a reason why he actually thinks that you were wrong, and offer a reason that he thought he was right, which he didn't do.
Yeah, I wish we had more time, because I think I wanted to first get a baseline that he understood that there's not a racist bone in my body. And I think he gets that. Now, and then I pointed out that some of the things that Joyanne Reed has said, I have said as well. So, I mean, I think there's some establishment to make there. And here's the problem, Patrick. We can't hold everybody up to the standard that we have with you, because you're damn good at research. You're damn good at what you do. Most people don't have they don't have the critical skills that you've got. And, we have to work with what we have, right?
Yes, sir.
Anyway, look, my line is getting super full, Patrick. So give me your closer so I can start taking some of these calls.
Okay, that's good. All he was saying, he actually said that what she said was that there was going to be a reaction to these people's votes, their action. That's not racist. To point out that if I drop a rock over my foot, that I'm going to hurt myself.
Thank you.
That's not racist. That's just
that's the way it is.
I'll leave it at that.
My God. Actually, that was a great analogy. In other words, if you do that, this is what happens. And actually, Patrick, that is what we're seeing happening. And Neil has been silent for a while, so I want Neil to get into the conversation. Thank you, Patrick. Have a great rest of your day. Neil, do you want to add to that?
I'll just point out, I don't really watch any of the MSNBC shows, but Reed also mentioned Gaza. And that seems to be a ticket out.
Yes. You know what? I forgot about that. Thank you for bringing that up. I forgot about that. Thank you, brother. Hey, Patrick, I'll see you at 3. Let's go to Lewis. Come on in, Lewis. Sorry that we dropped you before.
That's okay. Not a problem. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you doing?
We're doing fine.
Yeah, so I thought of something that would be really helpful to KPFT and to Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be, policy, because, if you look at how the Republicans won this year, it was based on, the anti-illegal immigrant policy, the tough on crime policy, and our economy. And the Democrats ran on let's hate Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And if you wouldn't focus so much on let's hate Trump, you probably would have won. But you focused so much on that no one heard that you had any policy to come up with.
All right, let me just answer that, because I think I talk a lot about people living in different universes, right? And it all depends on what media you follow, etc. And if you are biased towards, I listen to all media. Let me just tell you, I have several panels here that have the different media on, and I can understand why you say what you say, right? Because that is how evidently the stream that you get would say that those that are Democrats, they're just in for Donald Trump hate. That is so far from the truth. In fact, both candidates had policies, and when we removed the names from the policies and put out what the policies were, Americans overwhelmingly supported the policies that Kamala Harris stood for. But when you attached a name to it, it suddenly went to 50-50. And remember, Donald Trump barely won the election by popular vote. And he won the election by popular vote because of too many other machinations. But let me just put that aside to answer your question specifically. Donald Trump's policies that he ran on are nowhere close to the policies that he's effecting today, except for immigration. And even the immigration policies that he's effecting right now is in conflict with what he told his Latino supporters, is in conflict with what he told many of his supporters. Okay? So let's be clear here. When it comes to policies, Donald Trump policies does not check out as well as the policies that progressives have always stood for, and Democrats as well have stood for. So while what you said sounds good on the surface, below the surface is completely and entirely incorrect. But continue, my brother.
Well, it's just that when you call your listeners troglodytes and worthless.
Stop for a second. A troglodyte is somebody who lives in the past, right? So that was apropos. Now, I don't think I've refrained from calling the voters of the right. No, that is a fact. Look, wait, hold on a second. A large percentage of those voters are in fact racist. Now, by the way, brother, I let you speak. Sir, hold on. Let me speak. Brother Lewis, it's a conversation. It's not talking against each other. I make you talk. You let me talk. Okay?
That's a racist.
Thank you. Sir, you have to be quiet so that I can speak, and then I'll give you a chance to respond.
I got it. Okay? Gotcha.
All right. Thank you. A large percentage of people who vote for Donald Trump, and a large percentage of people who stayed home, and that includes Democrats as well, did so because they're racist. And look, I also have racist friends. It's our country's sin. And until we accept that and understand that, look, when I came to this country, Louis, I accept my demons. I was a damn homophobe and a sexist. When it was really thrown in my face, I accepted it. I did something about it, and then I atoned for it. This is what this country needs to do. Somebody as incompetent as Donald Trump, that you yourself would have to admit if we did a TikTok on it. When I say TikTok, I don't mean TikTok the thing. I mean itemize the things on it. You as an intelligent person would have to come to that conclusion. The only reason a Donald Trump could possibly be elected in this country is because people decided to forget what they are. Now, real quickly, answer that, and then I have to move on. But I want to give you a chance to respond. Thank you, brother.
You called us racist. You called us racist, not anybody else. You did. You didn't say there are some good people. You said the Trump supporters are troglodytes and racist.
That's not true. No, that's, sir, again, brother. Again, if you're going to be factual, you can look at the tape. I said a percentage. I never speak in totalities because you can't. And I also said there are Democrats who stayed home, and many of them stayed home because they were racist. All right, continue.
You said that financial advisors are worthless. You must have been burned, but they're not worthless.
Okay, sir. I'm going to give you more time. I have a lot of people waiting. I'm going to give you more time for you to call back another time. All right. I promise you I'll give you the time. But everything that I say is researched. OK, but we'll talk another time. So thank you so kindly for calling. Let's go to Bruce. Come on in, Bruce.
Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
I was getting tires on my car, so while I was waiting on the tires, I went walking through a strip center, and it was all like Hispanic businesses. And I saw one, I couldn't tell what it was, so I walked up to the window so I could see through, and it was a cafe. So I went in there and said, there was a little boy about 8 years old and a little toddler. And when I walked in, his eyes got big, and he jumped up and started to run to the back. And then he stopped himself and went and sat by his sister. So I said, "Friendly, hola." Anyway, a little old lady came out. And I tried to tell her my Spanish is bad, that I wanted coffee to go. I said, "Tennis cafe pour va?" And she waved at some kid from the back. A teenager came out. She said something to him. I heard the word English. Anyway, he started speaking to me in perfect English, and I explained. So they had to boil the water. They were going to make instant coffee. I said, "That's okay." While they were doing that, I glanced at the menu, no English subtitles whatsoever. And I glanced at this little room and realized these people are making it the old-fashioned American dream way. They're working, having a business. Anyway, it's a sweet little lady. So I made sure when I got my coffee, I put my hand on her shoulder and said, "Mi español es malo, no hablo mucho." And then she laughed and said something in Spanish about not speaking good English. When I left with my coffee, I thought to myself, these aren't criminals, all right? Rapists and everything else. That young man, that teenager, is probably going to be an attorney or a doctor or a business owner someday. They're trying to do it the old-fashioned way. They didn't inherit money from their daddy, all right? And this is being a foodie like you are. This is the type of place I look for. If you don't have English subtitles, that means you're getting the old-fashioned home cooking. All right, so I will be back, but I thought I'd bring that up because we hear so much racism today towards Hispanic people, and they're trying to do the American dream.
Brother, I love you, man. Let me just tell you something. If we could get more love, if we could get more people to stop seeing it the way, the anger, right? That anger that comes from bringing up people's carnal raciality. I mean, if we could get around that, that would be great. Hey, thank you for that call. You actually made my day. Yeah, and let me tell you why. Because all these people want is a chance and do good. There are bad people everywhere. We do bad things overseas. But thank you, Bruce. I got to go. But I love you, brother. Thank you for that. Real quick.
I wonder why that little boy jumped up and started to run to the back with his eyes open. Maybe
he thought you were the migra. You were the migra. Yes.
Yeah.
He thought you were the migra. Thank you, Bruce. I got to go. Let's go to Harry real quick. Harry, hold it short for me on this one, Harry. And thank you for calling the afternoon show yesterday.
Yeah. And I will call some more in the afternoon when I have things that I have to say. And I was glad that I said those things about Social Security. And I'm glad Johnny talked about Social Security earlier. And Joanne Reed, I'm sorry that she got fired, but she has been truthful and factual with all the things that she said about Donald Trump. And she has, when I listened to her, the times I have listened to her, she said some things that, like you were pointing out, that you have said. I wanted to also comment on what Howard was saying about the judge and how Donald Trump broke the law with those 300 people that went to El Salvador. They were in the air and there was supposed to be a hearing. Well, I'm sorry. He did break the law. And I like what Al Green is doing, writing these articles for impeachable. The question is, will the Republicans do the right thing?
No, they will not. They have already proven that they have already proven by their actions that they will not. Harry, love you. Gotta go. Call me at 3. Okay.
All right.
Let me go to talk to Eddie. Come on in, Eddie.
Hey, good morning,
brother Eddie. Good morning, sir.
What's the percentage of people that voted for Trump that are racist?
I can't tell you a percentage. I haven't done a regression analysis on that, but I can do some empirical stuff.
You tell your callers you only represent facts, so surely you've got something to back up that all Trump voters are
actually
racist.
Yes, I do. I said you asked me for a definite percentage. I couldn't give you a definite percentage, but it's over his winning percentage. Okay. The delta, it's over the delta. Mm-hmm. But brother, again, here's the thing, Eddie. We shouldn't be. Let me back up. Stop 1 second, and I'm going to say this. Are you a racist, Eddie?
I don't believe I am. No.
You don't believe you are? Okay, good. I'm going to do something. Ask you to call another time, and I'm going to ask you a few things, your beliefs, your thoughts, and because for me, when I stopped being a sexist and a homophobe, there are a lot of things I had to do to myself and figure out. Oh my God, I am actually this. And then I had to work on it. If we do that with you, would you be willing to work on whatever we find on you?
Always willing to grow.
Thank you, brother. We'll talk another day. Okay. Real quick. Oh, we lost you. All right, Brian, come on in.
Yeah, the Democrats have lost control of their party completely. When Trump was trying to be elected, the party ran on 20% of what the American people did not want, which is boys in the girls' bathroom, men in women's sports, and a total hatred of Trump.
Okay, good. You made your statement, and let me tell you, that statement that you made is provably false. But I don't have the time because I want. Let me just say it's provably false because, like I told you, when we specified what we ran on, Kamala, the polls proved that Kamala won on the policies. When we put a name attached to it, that's Brian.
No, he did not, or he would be president.
Okay, no, I didn't talk about the vote. All right, Brian, we'll talk another time. I really have to go. Bard, you have about 30 seconds and only 30 seconds.
Joy Reid was fired because she has no ratings. That's it. And guess what? Who cares? No one watched her show.
Thank you, Bard. Of course, that's another. It's amazing how these guys can just make false statements and think it can stand. Hey, Neil, go ahead. And I tell you what, do you have a closer, Howard?
I don't. So take it home, Egberto. You and Neil take it home.
Thank you, brother. Neil, I want Neil to close. Neil, I wish we got more time to talk about that other issue, but we'll be back next week. So give me a closer, Neil.
So HoustonDemocracyProject.com, HoustonDemocracyProject.com. I got a blog. If you live in CD18, ask how the candidates will really fight Trump. I also want to note, and fight for your rights, not just fight Trump. I also want to note it's the first day of spring. I get my weather at Houston National Weather Service. I Google it. Sunny and 70 today, sunny and 74 tomorrow. Go to the Weather Service website before they get rid of it. Support it. It's going to be a great day. It's spring. Be hopeful. Enjoy the day.
You forgot to give your website. I don't remember.
Houston Democracy Project. I was so enthused by spring. HoustonDemocracyProject.com, HoustonDemocracyProject.com. Update the blog all the time.
Folks, please visit. That's how we actually make progress. Anyway, folks, the rest of the show is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. If you want to write me directly, go to kpft@politicsdoneright.com, kpft@politicsdoneright.com. I love you all of my callers, every single one of you, all of my listeners, every single one of you. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know Support
how
I end this
show.
baby.
Politics Done Right
comes from politicsdoneright.com. Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com. Publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage